I knew when Eli was about, I don't know, maybe 16 to 18 months old, that there was something a little bit different about him. And no one else seemed to be able to see it, but I knew, I absolutely knew that there was something. So I took him to his pediatrician and I took him to a specialist and then back to his pediatrician and another specialist. And you guys, this cycle went on and on and on for some time. And finally, at about the age of 3-ish, I was able to get him tested for autism, which really was a struggle back then. And this is actually when I received his formal diagnosis. You're about to learn what it takes to live free of fear, to finally feel confident in your work, and to step into your true authenticity as an artist. Get ready, because this is where we learn to stand out, to say yes to creating the work that we so deeply desire. Welcome. I'm Denise Birdsong, and I teach photographers and artists how to finally make their mark. Hi. Today, I want to share with you a personal story about my son, Eli, who is an absolute prince amongst men, and our journey with his autism spectrum diagnosis, and how giving him the tools and support that he has needed to lay down new neural pathways has not only opened up like this incredibly beautiful world for him, but it has taught me so very much about the importance of connection, of love, how our brains work, and how we process and experience life. And my journey with I often call him E instead of Eli. You'll hear me do that in this podcast. And my journey with E has totally reinforced the importance of the methodology that I created and I use to coach and direct my clients, as well as teach other photographers how to create really emotive and impactful art with lots of connection. So I'm Denise Birdsong, and welcome to Make Your Mark. I would love for you to subscribe to this podcast. Leave me a review. It really does help me reach more people. And you can also follow me on Instagram. You can send me DMs. I love hearing from you guys, what you guys are up to. If you guys have similar experiences, I would love to hear about it so I don't feel so alone in this. And you can join my Facebook group, which is Strip Down the Art of Emotive Photography. And each week I restream the week's podcast episode, and we do a live Q&A so I can answer any questions that you might have. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. I knew when Eli was about, I don't know, maybe 16 to 18 months old, that there was something a little bit different about him. And no one else seemed to be able to see it, but I knew, I absolutely knew that there was something. So I took him to his pediatrician and I took him to a specialist and then back to his pediatrician and another specialist. And you guys, this cycle went on and on and on for some time. And finally, at about the age of 3-ish, I was able to get him tested for autism, which really was a struggle back then. And this is actually when I received his formal diagnosis. And to be honest with you, it was a huge relief to finally have some kind of idea of what it was that was going on with him. But I was also incredibly terrified because I really had no idea or understanding of what this meant for him or what it was going to mean for me as a parent. And I imagine, like me at the time of the diagnosis, many of you might not know or understand what autism is. It's a big word. We all hear it all of the time, but I think a lot of us don't know what it is. So I'm going to try and explain it to you briefly. So basically, autism is a non-progressive neurological disorder that typically appears before the age of 3, hence me picking up on all that stuff. And simply put, it's a developmental disorder that varies in severity amongst individuals, meaning it's not the same for all people on the spectrum. And it is characterized by difficulty in social interaction, some difficulty with communication, and by restricted or repetitive patterns of thought and behavior. And the actual word autism means a developmental disability significantly affecting verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction. You guys, I am tripping all over my words. If you can't tell, I'm a little bit nervous about this podcast, and it's a tough one to share. So bear with me. We'll get through this, and it's an important one. So, yeah, there you have it. We received a diagnosis, and I went to work. And as a parent with a child on the spectrum, it is absolutely my job to support this beautiful little man by providing him with the opportunities, the knowledge, the experiences, and the tools to support what he needs to thrive in this world. And I learned that I needed to support him in a whole lot of ways. But one of the most important was to lay down new neural pathways that would enable him to see, understand, and interact with the world around him in appropriate ways, as well as process his own emotions through his continued journey in life. And like I said, autism it's just not the same for any two individuals. Every person experiences it differently, and there are varying levels. And there are basic characteristics that we talked about earlier in the definition of autism. But just like neurotypicals, we all experience life just a little bit differently. But what we do all have in common, though, is the fact that our brains are malleable and they have a plasticity that allows us to lay down new neural pathways. So I want to introduce to you a term called neuroplasticity, and I want to talk to you about it. And it is relevant to photography, promise. So neuroplasticity is an incredibly important term for parents and support people working with individuals with autism. But it's also really relevant to individuals who are interested in any type of significant growth. So neuroplasticity is a term that refers to the brain's ability to change and adapt as a result of like repetition and exercises and experiences. So the neuroplasticity of our brains allows us to actually rewire our brains and learn new things, create new habits, alter behaviors, and even level up our creativity. And when you're given a challenge, when your brain is given a challenge or a challenging situation that your brain hasn't encountered before, it can reorganize and restructure itself in order to respond to that situation. And the more often your brain is exposed to that new challenge, like puzzles, learning a musical instrument, or even photography, creating art, for instance, the more it recognizes and makes that path more established. So the more it goes through that, the stronger we lay down those neural pathways. So now we've established that each of us, not just children or people on the spectrum, have the ability to lay down neural pathways because we have this neuroplasticity on our side. And this is great news for all of us. The neuroplasticity has been such a blessing for E and I. We've actually had the opportunity to work together. We've been able to work with an ABA team, which is Applied Behavioral Analysis, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. And his educational team at school works with him on this as well. And through like repetitious behaviors, when we're trying to modify behaviors, through giving him challenges, and through supporting him, Eli's actually learned and continues to learn how to adapt and lay down those neural pathways. He's been able to overcome some of the challenges that have come along with his spectrum disorder, which is amazing. And like all of us, he'll be on a growth journey for the rest of his life. This is who he is, and this is how he will live, and he will use that neuroplasticity to put down the new pathways and create a beautiful life for himself. And the amazing thing in all of this is that Eli is actually consciously aware of what he needs to do and how he needs to do it now. And honestly, I think this is more than half of the battle. And I feel so incredibly lucky that he has that awareness, that I have that awareness, and he has the support that he needs to thrive. So one of Eli's challenges with his spectrum disorder um, was a little bit, maybe still here and there, is understanding what other people are thinking and feeling based on their body language. Not when it comes to mama. He knows with mama, but with other people, it's still a teeny bit of a challenge that we're working on. And this is fairly common for individuals on the spectrum. Might be a little bit more common with people in general, but with the proper support, he has really learned to turn to not to turn, sorry, to be very tuned into other people's body language, because it's something that we've really focused on, which comes a bit more naturally to all of us than it does to Eli. But it's, if you think about it, it's never, body language is never really processed on a conscious level, because body language lives firmly in the domain of the subconscious. And I would actually say that Eli actually has a bit of an advantage now. He is keenly, and more importantly, he's consciously aware of reading body language and the body language of others, and trying to understand what they're thinking and feeling through, the way that they present themselves and their body language. Like I said before, not with mommy, this little guy reads me like a damn book. Like, I have to be really careful around him now, because he notices and he actually comments on every nonverbal emotional state I'm experiencing. He can be in the other room, and if he hears me like, I get it, is everything okay? Like, he's so sensitive to it, and he really does pay attention, which is something all of us should maybe do a little bit more as artists. So this new set of neural pathways that, his team, his teachers, and he have worked so hard to lay down, and this new skill he's developed actually allow him to communicate effectively with others, understand how others are feeling, create and establish connections because of it. And, as humans, our brains actually process between 70 to 93% of communication through body language. That's bananas. Like, even when we're speaking, that's how much communication is happening with body language. It's not through verbal communication like we think it is. And this is something that most of us are not aware of, because our subconscious runs on autopilot. And I want you to think about this for a second. We don't consciously think about what our subconscious mind is doing, or even what a dramatic effect it has on our conscious behavior and our experience in the world. And as artists creating work with our subjects through a visual medium, it would really serve us well to not only be consciously aware of body language, but also understand how to help our clients through these emotive states and help them with body language also. But to do so, we have to fully understand how to embody emotive states ourselves and direct and coach our clients in order to create and document images that are full of life, that viewers emotionally connect with. Before E was diagnosed with spectrum disorder, I was already like keenly aware of and fully in tune with body language myself through my own life experiences of being a dancer and doing some modeling. And the art of body language had really been kind of like ingrained in me, and I had to lay down those neural pathways. I didn't know at the time the whys or the hows, or what was happening. It was just what I needed to do as an artist to perform. So basically, I wasn't consciously thinking about it, but my subconscious was most definitely at work in my art. And not to compare myself to the great masters, but you see this so much with the great masters. They didn't have the benefit of neuroscience, and all of the information that we have now, but they knew intuitively, and they did intuitively. So back to E, as a mother of a child with autism, I actually had to start consciously working on creating these pathways with him and for him. I had to consciously navigate body language, and it just reinforced all that I was creating in my art. Like, I had so many aha moments through the whole thing. And along with a few other dramatic and really important life experiences, this awareness shined this great, big, huge spotlight on the beauty of body language and the art and science of emotion, as well as the importance of our subconscious and conscious awareness of the subconscious and the intricacies of how our brains actually work. I know that was a lot. That was a lot. But seriously, my journey is really turned into my mission. Like, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt how meaningful and impactful that this knowledge and awareness is. It has changed lives. Like Eli's, for example, it has made all of the difference in the world for him. And it's changed how he experiences the world. It changes our experience with the world, the creation of our art, the experiences that we create for our clients, and how we're actually able to live a richer, fuller life because of it. I actually have a student from one of my early iterations of my course who came to me with the difficulty expressing herself. She was having difficulty expressing herself through body language, which would be non-verbally. And she was having trouble verbally, like expressing herself in as well. And in the beginning, when we start this course, I think we all struggle a little bit with being unsure and a little self-conscious. But her inability to be open and to share and receive was a real struggle for her in all of the areas of her life. It wasn't just in class. She was kind of shut down. And it really seemed to like permeate all of her relationships and her interactions in the world. And I tried working with her, and there was a little bit of resistance. But when she was ready, she very bravely reached out to me for additional support, which luckily for me and for her turned into a really beautiful experience for both of us. And we sort of worked on it, and we identified her blind spots, and she opened up and she put in the work. And I'm happy to say that over time, I watched her blossom from a woman who was living a half life, really unable to express her feelings and her emotions, into this wildflower who just doesn't seem to stop growing. I mean, she is such a serious badass. She's got the new studio, a bigger and stronger, thriving business, even a new relationship where she feels safe expressing her wants, her needs, her fears, basically herself. And she's free now, and she's living the life that she's creating with those new neural pathways and an awareness of body language and the conscious and subconscious communication and connection. So we can see through Eli, we can see through my students. You can ask any of them, so many of them for that matter, that the path from darkness to sunshine is really right ahead of all of us. And it's there for each one of us to take. And this might sound overly simplified to you, but honestly, there's just no reason to complicate it. By cultivating awareness of the art and science of emotion, body language, human behavior, connection, the way that our brains work, it just leads to beautiful art and beautiful lives. So I don't know, anyone up for some new neural pathways? I know that I am. Are you ready to learn about using the art and science of emotion to create gorgeous work? Again, I know that I'm ready to keep learning and growing. And I hope that's why you're here. I think a really great place to start is by helping you create with confidence and intention in your posing. It's a really good starting point. And we can start to lay some new neural pathways there for sure. Like, definitely, we can do that. I know that we can do that together. So, I'm inviting you to my free Powerful Posing Bootcamp. It's going to be October 26th and 29th. It's a virtual online class that's going to teach you about intention and this really amazing pivot in your approach to posing. And we're also going to have lots of fun games and prizes to be won by all. And it's going to be really straightforward. It's a no pitch, no sales. It's absolutely free. And it's going to be a wonderful educational opportunity. Again, I have a mission that's driven by my amazing life experiences, as well as my passion to create beauty and help you create beautiful works of art. And I promise you, I'm going to bring you my all on this topic and provide you with actionable takeaways and some new neural pathways. And I'm totally going to blow your mind with this game-changing posing pivot. So don't miss it. If you're interested in attending, again, it's free. It's going to be a wonderful educational opportunity. It's October 26th and 29th. It's virtual, it's online. You can text the keyword boot camp to the number 866-603-4337. Again, you can text the word bootcamp to 866-603-4337, or you could head over to dbirdsong.com/event training and you can sign up there. So I want to thank you for letting me share my story about E. This wasn't easy. I'm sure, as you can tell, I kind of got tripped up along the way. It's a little emotional, but I think it's an important story to share. So I would love for you to come and join me. Again, I want to thank you for being with me today. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast if you're enjoying it. Leave me a review if you like it. It would be really helpful. It helps me reach more people. You can follow me on Instagram at Denise Birdsong Photographer. Send me DMs. I love hearing from you guys and interacting with you guys. If any of you have kids on the spectrum or family members, you want to talk about it, I'm here for all of it. And you can also join my Facebook group, which is Stripped Down the Art of Emotive Photography. And each week I restream the week's episode and we have a live Q&A where I will answer any and all questions that you have on the topic of the week's podcast. So I'll see you soon. And in the interim, go out and create beautiful things this week. Thank you again so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.